right now there's about a $300-some thousand shortfall, as I understand it, in the budget for next year. You could very easily fund that money by taking it out of the fund balance. Taking it out of the fund balance will neither deplete the fund balance, nor will it bankrupt the school district. That fund balance is our money. It has sat at $2 to $4 million for the past 15 years, and it just keeps getting added to. Now, I understand now it's finally getting depleted. But saving that $300,000 this year is not going to save the school from bankruptcy next year. It's not going to stop you from eliminating programs next year. It's not going to stop you from raising our taxes next year. All raising our taxes this year is going to do is raise them this year and raise them again even more next year. On the other hand, the cause of the cause of this fund balance shortage is caused by some of the current board members and many of the previous school boards. You sign teacher contracts that you can't afford. You built buildings that could have been less extravagant and more utilitarian. You built a football field, a stadium complex that will never pay for itself. And now you're saying to the taxpayers, after increasing our taxes 12 of the last 14 years, let's do it again. You don't have to. Some of that $300,000, if you took it out of the fund balance, may be reimbursed by the state. But if you raise the taxes before you find that out, our money's gone. So then you'll have money toward next year possibly, but our taxes will have already been raised. I wish that once, just once, the school board members who keep voting for tax increases would stand up instead of quietly just voting yay, stand up and explain to the people that are paying the taxes how you in good conscience could vote for all these extravagances and then tell us we need more money. I don't understand it. The people, a lot of us, would like to know how you could spend $45 to $50 million a year, every year, and still have a debt of over $90 million. I mean, that tells us something's not being managed properly with our funds. I'm asking 5 of you, not all 9, 5 of you, to stand up for the taxpayers and vote to take that $300,000 out of the fund balance instead of raising our taxes. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Martino.
Hi, David Poole, 443 Hill Road, Douglasville. I'm here simply to substantiate Mr. Martino's statement. As you probably are aware, I send out emails to a pretty sizable number, over 200 people who have asked for information about what's going on. And I've asked them, to express themselves, and we even put a poll up on our DVTA website. And I'm not going to read all of the comments. I've heard before that some of you have received emails saying do anything, raise our taxes, just don't cut any programs. Well, that's not what I'm getting here. All right. If you would like to have a copy of this, I will very gladly send it to you, Andrew. And what I'll do is just remove names.
Yeah, why don't you send it to the entire board?
Okay, that's fine, but I will remove the names. I don't want to go over each individual comment because some of the folks who responded to this name names, okay, and I don't think that's necessarily fair, to fire off in public. But comments like $50 million budget, and they may go bankrupt if they do not raise taxes to increase revenues by $315,000. The Daniel Boone School Board did this to themselves, building monstrous schools, and when they weren't needed, giving out no-bid contracts, $3 million football stadiums, etc. and so forth. There's a lot of misunderstanding, apparently, still among the public that teachers' salaries and benefits are negotiated and can't be, they cannot be reduced under any circumstances because you're contractually bound. There are many comments that I received that said, there are other school boards there are other school districts in the area that are working to reduce their tax liability this year by getting concessions from staff organizations. Okay. The big items really are, while our paychecks aren't, well, I'm sorry, that's, what several people basically have said, okay, and I'm not going to, like I said, I want to try to keep this short, is we can't afford it anymore. Enough's enough. We just can't do this. We can't keep on going. There is no conceivable way that we're going to be able to stay where we are if the taxes continue to increase in this district. And I know that this is a cry that's heard throughout the Commonwealth. There are, in front of the legislature now, different remedies for property taxation, which, you know, Lord, I hope actually manage to find their way, to the governor's desk. Yeah, yes. But the poll results are telling, okay, and I did want to at least go over them. We put out a poll that said, should school property taxes in Daniel Boone School District be raised for 2012?
Mr. Poole, you're at your 3 minutes.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Huh?
All right. Let me just say that 85%
Mm-hmm.
said no taxes should, under no circumstances, be raised or not raised until the fund balance is used. Okay. The other 15% of that, 12% said, yeah, we need to raise them to the max in order in order not to cut programs, and with the anticipation of massive increases next year. So it's 85% of the respondents, and there were 92 respondents to the survey.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Any additional public comment on agenda items? Okay. Seeing none, we'll move forward with our recognitions for May.
Thank you, Mr. Basil. Nice to see everyone here this evening. This is the time of the year when we do our annual Friends of Education Awards to honor people who have in some way given some special service to the school. We also have a series of students that we'd like to recognize under our Student Service Awards, and we also have one individual receiving a special leadership award tonight. I'm going to turn this over to my assistant, Mrs. Trainer, who will give a brief explanation about each one of these people. And when your name is called, please feel free to come up and receive your certificate and be recognized.
Okay, just to sort of follow up what Dr. Otto said, the first group we have called Daniel Boone Friends of Education. We have been doing this in the district since 1983. And so if you would be up on our second floor, we have 2 large plaques. And for each year the individual that was recognized, there's a plaque with their name and the year on it. And we have never repeated the same person. So each year we pick about 10 individuals that staff nominate based on contributions, service, monetary donations that they may have found to the district that have somehow enhanced what we do. And so this year, again, we have a number of individuals with us tonight, and each one of the Friend of Education recipients will get an award from the district, which Mr. Basil and Dr. Otto will present to you, and also sticking with the theme of education, a gold apple for your desk, so that you can all put them toward the budget. So, I'm going to call each individual up and also share with the community a little bit about why they're here. And there are a couple folks who join us tonight, but I won't share with you why they are getting recognized. So the first one is Reverend Simpson. He is currently the pastor of St. Paul's UCC Church, but he would be here tonight representing the Birdsboro Ministerium. Anyone who has been around the district for a number of years has heard the ministerium's name. They are the organizers of the baccalaureate. Back in 1999, when we had the unfortunate triple accident when LaQuan Lockett passed away, the ministerium was the organization that rallied to help the district. organize both bereavement activities and also support for our kids. Anytime we have an unfortunate student issue, they are the first on the scene. I have become a liaison with them, and they are now sort of a conduit to identifying folks in their community that they then can reach back to me to be able to find services for, and it's been great the last 2 years. I asked them this year to adopt a school, and so each one of the churches in our area adopted a school that they would support during the year, and between all of them for Thanksgiving and for Christmas, they were able to put together by their congregation 44 food baskets for families of students in the district that didn't have food for Thanksgiving or Christmas. And so after all these years, we just felt it was time to make sure they understood that we really appreciate all the good work. They're also working with Michelle Goss for next year to try and put together something called a fifth quarter, which will be activities after football, home football games next year. So hopefully we'll be able to pull that off as the year begins. So we'll make sure they get their award within the next couple of days. The second individual is Lisa's bodyguard over here in the corner. You're taking him. Or something. This is Trooper John Beaver. Stand up. Let everyone see you. John is seen in the halls of the high school, and in addition to his presence in high school, he was recognized for volunteering his time in the high school forensic class. And so he is a criminal scene investigator. And so probably by the time he's done, everybody looks to doing NCIS or CSI and how he got to be what he's doing. But he spends the day with Mrs. Menser and works with her students there. So for giving us his time, we would like to thank you.
Thank you so much for your service. I appreciate it.
Congratulations. Thank you for your service very much.
Thank you.
The next individual is representing, he's president of the Eastern Berks Business Alliance. It's Mark. There it is. Let's go back to the ministerium for a second. One of the members of the ministerium happened to be in a local dentist's office in the fall, and that individual was a member of Eastern Berks Business Alliance, and they were trying to find a project to give back to the community and asked this dentist, do you know anybody? I'm sorry, this pastor from the ministerium, do you know anybody? And guess whose name came up? And so I got a call that they had wanted to give financial support to a project that the district was doing for community members. And so they gave me a very nice, generous check that was able to put 22 coats out to students this year, along with the other 80 coats that we put out from other donations for students who didn't have winter clothes for this year. And so hopefully we'll be able to build a relationship for different activities that they'll be able to also support the district. But they were certainly a blessing to me as I was trying to help the students that as this economy continues to be in trouble, we're finding more and more students that are identified with those needs. So we're very appreciative of their support of us, and I'd like to thank you.
Thank you so much, Mark. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Another group that has been a friend of the Danny Boone School District for years and years and years is the Danny Boone Optimist Club. Chris? Just to list a couple of the activities, each year they are the supporter of a trip where our students go to the Capitol, and that will be happening tomorrow, I was going to say this week sometime. They also made a donation to Mr. McElroy, sort of like a wish list, and asked him what he would be interested in using it for, and we took their donation toward a whiteboard for one of the classrooms. And smartboard. They're also providing scholarships on a regular basis to our students, and they're also working with me in the future to be able to find projects within each building that they would be able to also support. And so, for all those years, thank you for that.
Thank you so much for your support. We really
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Come on up, Tracy. Tracy's representing the Daniel Boone Youth Sports Program, and she's here specifically because they were nominated for their Buddy Ball. So, for those of you who don't know what Buddy Ball is, Buddy Ball is an athletic club created to give siblings of the Daniel Boone Youth Sports players, regardless of any physical handicap, a chance to play baseball. The group is open to district youths from 4 to 21, and buddies are then matched up with players to assist their peers in the least restrictive possible way to be able to play that sport. During this past season, there were 24 players with varying disabilities paired up with 52 buddies. And this club relies on volunteer coaches, announcers, and staffing for their snacks. So it's volunteer, and I know that my secretary has had the opportunity to witness it a couple of times, and I heard it is truly worth. I'm just not usually available when they're playing, but it is one of the greatest shows to be able to see as the students are buddied up with our athletes. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Scott Mitchell is a district resident, and he's a parent of a Daniel Boone student. And I had the opportunity to meet him when he's a professional chef, and he came into Mrs. Wallace's family and computer science classes to her senior cooking class, and combined his skill of cooking along with what we call healthy eating alternatives to what tastes better than probably what they might like to be tasting. And so he spent 2 days with them, and he was able to not only talk to them about his career and how he got to what he's doing, and anyone interested in doing that, the types of things they would have to be able to do, but also it was a whole lesson on healthy eating. And so he was instrumental in being able to help Mrs. Wallace with those. So he's been here for the last 2 years, and so several people have nominated him for this particular activity. This is DeMille. Jennifer DeMille was not able to be with us this evening. She volunteers her time each year to do something called Digging for Dinosaurs. Again, if you've been around for a number of years and your children are older, they might have dug for dinosaurs at Monocacy Kindergarten Center years ago when we had it. And we were able to bring in an outside organization as budgets became tighter and we were no longer to get those types of individuals to come in. We decided that we would try to find somebody within the district to help us, and Mrs. DeMille came forward. And so in addition to her Digging for Dinosaurs activity that she's replicated and now does for our primary students, she is also often seen in our elementary centers. She helps with bulletin boards, PTC events. I know Mrs. Massaro at APC has told me when she needed a Dr. Seuss event, 2 days later Mrs. DeMille shows up and she does this great event for Dr. Seuss. She's a storyteller in 2nd grade. She does fractured fairy tales and also works with the RIF program. So we will make sure next time she's in, she'll get the certificate also. Another person very much like Mrs. DeMille is Cindy McGee, who also is not able to be here tonight. she has picked up a program called Art Goes to School. And so for Monocacy and for BEC, again, a program we used to do with outside support years ago. Mrs. McGee has picked that up, and we want to make sure that she also was recognized for all the time she spent around the next one is Zillow's Music. This is another organization that's been around for years and years with our music programs. And if you're a music parent, you certainly know that name. Not only have they provided free workshops for our students at all different levels, but they also, according to Mrs. Bowman, there's been plenty of instruments sent our way for students to use when they were in our programs, and also making sure people understood the instruments and so on. So they have been a true supporter of Davie Moon music for many years. I remember when I was in high school, they were doing the same thing. And so we want to thank you for all those extras you give to our students. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for
we
the
really
opportunity.
appreciate it.
Thank
you very much.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Mr. Reed, here? Or no? Oh, we have that. This is probably the unfortunate for Mr. Reed became like a windfall for the Davie Moon School District. Mr. Reed worked at a pharmaceutical company that was closing their site around November of this past school year. And although much of the materials were being shipped to another facility, there were a number of items that were going to be tossed. And so a number of different things heard from Mr. Reed as he started to look at what they were thinking about getting rid of and how we as a district could use it. One of the folks that we got him in contact with is Mrs. Miller, who's chair of the science department. And through Mr. Reed's support, we have a lot of supplies in the high school chemistry area. He donated beakers, graduated cylinders, flasks, stirrers, and all those other type of pieces of equipment that the kids use in the high school. And in addition, he has a student over at Amity Intermediate Center, and he was instrumental in getting us a couple of the computers that they were going to be discarding, and they were set up and are working in one of the fifth grade classrooms right now. So thank you very much for thinking about it.
Thank you, Mr. Reed. We really
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate it very much.
And the last gentleman wasn't able to be with us tonight, but if you've ever frequented any of the Dairy Queens, whether it's the one in Penhurst or the one here in Exeter, you often see a lot of thank you notes over the walls. And this was our way of sending Hamid Shori a thank you note because when Mrs. Hector challenges the students every year to the reading challenge, and if they surpass the amount of books that they're supposed to read, she's the feature in the dunking tank that's donated each year by Dairy Queen. And then students also get some treats that he gives certificates for. And so we'll all make sure we go up to Dairy Queen to see him, right? So thank you again to all of you who have donated your time. The next set of awards.
Thank you.
Are the Student Service Awards. And they are nominations by teachers from 6th grade through 12th grade for students who are actively involved in school-sponsored clubs, sports, or music programs, demonstrated leadership and school spirit and responsibility, and have been more than willing to lend a hand to staff and fellow students. Each year, as I read a lot of the litany of what these students are involved in, you just have to wonder how they have the time to do all this, and it's certainly a credit to them for everything that they are involved in. So in the middle school, we have the students are nominated by a team. If familiar with our middle school, we have teams for the students. So from the Explorer team in grade 6 is Nicholas Morales. Is he here? Come on up. Shared with us that he is a hardworking and friendly student. He gets good grades, participates all the time in class. He is respectful to students and all his teachers, and he's also a baseball player. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Good job.
Congratulations, Lewis. Thank you.
The second young man is not able to be with us tonight, and that's Scott Steffi. He's from the Discovery team. But Mrs. Boyle shared that Scott is selected because he is always very helpful for all the students in the class. He's a member of the Community Chorus. He's probably there tonight because tonight's their sixth grade chorus presentation. And outside of school, he's also very active in scouting. So we will make sure that he gets that. And the last of the sixth graders comes from the Atlantis team. Is Aaron here? Come on up, Aaron. Aaron Lindsay and Aaron, according to his team, his effort in school has continually improved. He participates in Boy Scouts. He is a wonderful asset to the entire Daniel Boone School District and community, and we would have nothing better to have him on our team. So congratulations.
Congratulations, Aaron. Nice work.
Good job, Aaron.
The next young lady is also not able to be with us tonight. That's Sarah Thompson. She was nominated by the Fanatics team, and the teachers nominated her and said, Sarah is a wonderful young lady that is always willing to help in the classroom. She is involved in school announcements, the musical, wind ensemble, jazz band, select chorus, soccer, and student council. Sarah does very well academically. She's on the honor roll. She's in language arts honors class, and she is a perfect leader as a model for her peers. So we will make sure that Sarah is also recognized. The next individual, again in 7th grade, is from the Trailblazers team, and that's Alex Nugent.
Alexis.
She's involved in 3 sports at the middle school. She is a volunteer for community trash pickup. She's a math tutor. She cooks meals for elderly neighbors. She's a Bible school volunteer helper. She plays club softball and basketball in the community, sells raffle tickets, and works with Breakfast for Santa and delivers papers during the day for teachers. Congratulations.
Nice work, Alexis.
Thank you.
Nice job.
Thank you.
And the last of the 7th grade teams is the endurance team, and that is Megan Brady. Come on up, Megan. And Mrs. Colby, on behalf of her team, tells us that Megan is their nominee. She epitomizes the meaning of civic contributor. While in school, Megan has many musical endeavors. Her participation includes select and grade-level choral groups, Song Fest, Junior County Chorus, as well as being in the wind ensemble. As a member of the Girl Scouts, she has helped in providing trees and plants to local elementary centers and to a local church. As a troop member, Megan has donated an American flag and lawn chairs to the Amity Manor Retirement Center, as well as serving as a pen pal to retirement center residents. Congratulations.
Nice work, Megan.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
Congratulations, Megan.
Thank you.
In 8th grade from the Mustangs is Aaron Temple. Oski tells us, Aaron is an exemplary student who displays kindness to his peers and teachers on a daily basis. He plays soccer, has a major role in the school's musical, is very involved in the school newspaper, and is in chorus. With all these extracurricular activities, he still maintains a strong work ethic, focuses on what is important in his academics, and he is particularly helpful with special needs students. The Mustang team is proud to nominate Aaron.
Congratulations, Aaron. Thank you for doing
Congratulations.
it.
From the Warriors in 8th grade, we have Ashley LaSalle. And Mrs. Hinkle shares with us that they have nominated Ashley because she's involved in the following school-related activities: jazz band, wind ensemble, band, chorus, student council, reading Olympics, Boone Tribune, middle school musical, Fellowship of Christian Students, and middle school anti-bullying program.
Congratulations, Ashley.
Congratulations.
And the last of the 8th grade teams is the Phoenix team, and that's Alexander Coates. And Mr. Engel shares with us that Alex is an honor student in English and math and is on the Distinguished Honor Roll. Musically, he is a member of Select Chorus and Wind Ensemble. In addition to that, he qualified for junior county band, orchestra, and District 10 chorus. Throughout the year, he has served on the Build a Better Boone committee. He is one of the most polite and well-mannered students in the school. Alex always has time to help other people, saying a kind word, and he has always done his best in things he participates in, extracurricular and academic.
Congratulations. Good work.
Congratulations.
In 9th grade, we have Andrew Briscoe. And Mr. Miller nominated Andrew, and he said he is involved in chorus, select chorus, and is the manager for the cross-country and track teams. The time commitment for being a manager is, according to Mr. Miller, ridiculous. He gets no glory until tonight. He is in honors, just about everything. Also, he is in the musical, Interact, Fellowship of Christian Students, and the German Club. Congratulations.
Nice work, Aaron.
Thank you. Congratulations. Nice
Thank
work.
you.
Lizzie is one amazing young lady, and I have all types of things to share with you that Lizzie has done since she's been in the Danny Boone School District. Not only did we have teachers nominate Lizzie, but Lizzie has an extra set of hands by Mr. Gosselfinger, who's from the BCIU. And so these are some things he shared in letting us know everything that this young lady is involved in. Lizzie is an exceptional student in many ways. As Mr. Miller alluded to in his recommendation, she doesn't consider her blindness to be a handicap in any way, and strives to do the best she can in everything she tries. She was her class president in 8th and 9th grade, participated in track in the spring, participated in the Susical, and in last year's play. Is a participant in many other clubs, and has an A in all of her honors and other classes for the year. As part of my instruction with her, I have seen a tremendous growth this year in how independently she travels. She is crossing very complex and busy traffic intersections, riding various bus systems, and transferring to her destinations and traveling with great confidence. One of the most important attributes she has learned over my years with her is to act like a sighted person living in a sighted world. She will look at you in a conversation, present oral projects and speeches with facial and body expressions for the visual audience, and give you the impression that she is not blind or that her blindness doesn't slow her down. In fact, I've had to recently make her connect with other blind individuals to realize that she is blind. Overall, she has great character, enthusiasm, and puts her heart into everything she does. And I also have learned that she's attended a number of leadership camps. Mr. Stecker, who is working with Dr. Otto and the diversity group, even mentioned that Lizzie was one of the participants in his camp also. So congratulations, Lizzie, for all that.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Hey, Lizzie, congratulations.
Thank you.
Nice work. There you go. Thank you. That's awesome.
Yeah.
In 11th grade, the first nomination is Jana Mahan. Jana, come on up. Jana was nominated by Mrs. Parker, and she shares with us that Jana had served as District 19 North Lieutenant Governor for the Key Club this year, in which is not only our school, but also leads 8 others in community service. She is actively involved in Key Club and puts endless hours of time and energy into helping others. She is even attending a competition for all PA Key Club members to future her leadership abilities. She is without a doubt one of the greatest students that could receive this award, and she is also a model for her fellow classmates. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
The second 11th grader recognized by Mrs. Cornish is Kendra Reisick. I would like to nominate Kendra for her artistic involvement in the school. Not only does she work hard on her own artwork, she also assists her peers in and out of class. She is always willing to lend a helping hand in cleaning up and setting up of materials for classes.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And the last is a package deal, one of which is here and one could not join us, Christy Smith, and the other half is Crystal Loomis, who isn't able to be here. Neither of the two are here. But this was a recommendation from Mrs. Rowe, who's actually with us tonight, and she's department chair for the art department. And she shares with us that these young ladies approached her at the beginning of the school year regarding promoting school spirit through art. They organized and scheduled after-school meetings to create posters and a banner. The welcome to Daniel Boone, if you've been in the main foyer area of the high school, was created by these 2 young ladies. The girls are also involved in DBYEA and the production of Dr. Seuss. So we'll make sure both of those girls get their award. Thank you. Our first nomination is Kelly Rhodes. And there's a little story about Kelly Rhodes. And so I'll embarrass Mr. Rhodes, who's in the audience. Last year, at their professional leadership and development, which will be the Wednesday after this event, Mr. Gross was at the meeting, and afterwards we were cleaning up, and he said to me, every year I forget to put in this nomination for an individual who helps me tremendously at AIC. And you know I'm going to forget to do it again. And so I said, well, come on up to the second floor with me. Here's a piece of paper. Do it now, and I promise you I will find my folder for the next year's recommendations, because you'll never remember to do it, and I will make sure Kelly's got to get a recommendation for this year. So what he told me last year, that I was supposed to share with you tonight, is you have demonstrated the highest level of commitment, dedication, respect, and volunteerism for your time since you've been a fifth grader. And you have helped him every year, because he shares that with me on a regular basis, as a helper, putting up artwork around the building, especially at AIC, and also in the preparation of some of Mr. Gross's art projects and organizing his supplies. And so you were a student at AIC a couple of years ago. And so he has recruited her back every year, and she is back again for this year. So congratulations.
Congratulations, Kelly. Congratulations.
Thank you.
The second senior, I don't believe is with us tonight, Ed Kim. This was by Mrs. Miller. He's highly active in a variety of activities while still achieving high levels of academic success. He is an officer in many of his organizations. And we also had in here, earlier in the year, he was a Science Student of the Month for the Reading Eagle Times. And so we will make sure he also gets the certificate. And the final student is Corey Samsel. Corey here, come on up. Nominated by Mrs. Ben, who's our music and choral teacher. Corey has been an integral member of every musical ensemble here at Daniel Green High School. She has served as drum major for the marching band and section leader and vice president of the class. She volunteers for every booster event and extra performance required of the select choir, and has been an integral part in the organization of the Songs for Hope event. She is also going to be in the CHOP music therapy program. Congratulations.
Congratulations. Congratulations, Corey.
And I'll do the one remaining.
Joe.
And that is Mr. Boyle. So, Joe, come on up. Usually wait till after an individual gets a recognition, like Mr. Bailey, we brought him after he was Junior Achievement Teacher of the Year, but we didn't want to drag Mr. Boyle back here at the end of June. But we received notice recently that Joe has, for many years, since 1998, 99, somewhere back around when we hired Joe. He had a previous life working with different organizations, one of which was Karen Foundation. And so he brought a lot of those skills to different activities that we had here over the years at the high school and at the middle school and when we were junior senior high school. Very, very active in the middle school SAP program, and also has jumped on board with all the wellness activities to coordinate the Changes program, which is the support program at the middle school for students who are going through a divorce. And that's all funded through the wellness grant from the Potsdam Wellness Foundation. So for all of those things and all the other activities Joe brings to both the community and to us through his experience, Joe is receiving a Community Leadership Award from Karen Foundation on June the 1st. This award recognizes a community leader or community-based organization with a proven track record of leadership with regard to identifying the negative consequences of chemical dependency through education, awareness, program delivery, and counseling services.
Thank you for your service, Joe.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Congratulations, Joe.
Thank you very much.
Okay, that brings to an end. Thank you all for all of your service to the district and to the community. It's very, very important.
Absolutely. And actually, we're going to be moving on through the rest of the agenda at this time. So we'll take a 30-second break here if people want to get up and go. You're more than welcome to do so. Those who want to stay, we welcome your input. As everybody leaves.
Of course.
You got to stay.
Hey, Joanne, no. Once you're on, you're always on.
But I think we'll do 8A. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't know what it's 11A.
This is
proposed. This isn't the final.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, when?
That's at the end of June.
June 25th.
Before.
Well, no, our last meeting.
June 25th.
Hey, Kristen. Nice to meet you.
You look just like your face. That way, like your Facebook right there.
That's at the end of the meeting. Okay, we'll resume the meeting. Thank you all. We're going to bring 11A forward and discuss that now. It's recommended that the Board of Directors approve the 2012-13 Daniel Boone Area School District proposed final budget at $50,864,268 with a .3168 millage increase with any adjustments at the June board meeting. We have a motion. We have a second. Second. Rob and Frank, are you on the line?
Robbie's here.
Frank, you there? Okay, we might have lost Mr. Sermonero. Okay. We have a first, we have a second, and do we have any discussion?
I still have a great deal of concern with the structure of the way it is, and although this is still just a process to get it to move forward, I'm not comfortable with using as much of the fund balance, nor am I comfortable with the tax increase. I'm not sure where we go with this, but as it's outlined, I still have a great deal of concern. I don't want to use $1.2 million of fund balance, nor do I want to raise taxes to make up anything out of the fund balance. So I'm not sure where we're going to go with it, but as it sits now, I don't plan. Well, I'm not voting for it. So.
I have a question. Mrs. Penza, any idea of fund balance yet? What it will be at the end of the year? You know, okay, I'm just asking. I'm going to ask a question every time.
I know. Well, it's what I gave you the last time. It's about $4 million right now. But
Okay,
we still have
thank
2 months left.
And one thing I will tell board members, I did sit with a breakfast meeting last Friday with local representatives and senators. They are making a concerted effort to pass a budget by June 15th. Take it for what it's worth. We've heard that year after year. It could be good news, it could be bad news. All I know is that they said they're going to make a concerted effort to do it.
If we have additional funding come forward, where do we apply that?
Well, that's my concern. We haven't decided where we're going to apply that. Do we apply it to immediate tax increase, or do we apply it to less fund balance? Do we use it 50-50? I mean, I'd like to have some idea, some idea where it's going. The other thing, what happens if X, if this 1776 gets passed? Does it get applied this year? Does it get applied next year?
I believe they roll that in over time.
What happens if the fund balance is not a surplus?
Right.
Well, I guess I've been thinking a lot about fund balance for a while. I emailed you guys some information on fund balance later this evening. You probably haven't had a chance to take a look at it, and I'm not asking you to do it right now, but, it's the same story. I mean, for the last few years, we raise taxes and then we throw a surplus. And not only do we not spend the fund balance we said we were, we actually throw a surplus. So my concern is, over the last couple of years when we have this conversation, we talk about a tax increase and a surplus, and using fund balance. We do the tax increase and then we never use the fund balance. And it goes forward perpetually year after year after year. And, I have a real hard time with that. I personally have a hard time with that. I think at the end of the day, we have $4 million sitting in a fund balance that's done nothing but go up since I've been on this board. It was around $3 million. And, now's the time when you need to be spending your fund balance down. When the economy's bad and people are hurting, this is the time you spend your fund balance down. When the economy turns around and it's on the move and people have their jobs and things are looking better, that's the time for tax increases. I don't believe hitting people with a tax increase now when they're struggling is the best time to do that. So I'm against the budget as it is now, probably for different reasons, but I'm putting that out there. And, maybe we need to have another workshop just to kick some things around, some of these ideas around, and discuss how we're going to spend, if there is additional state funding, how are we going to spend that? Are we banking it? Are we going to reduce taxes? What are we going to do with it? So
I don't necessarily agree with you that times are tough. I mean, they're not great. They're better than they were last year. But I don't want to head down the path where we end up putting a tax increase out there, as well as $1.2 million fund balance, and then we get money and we throw a huge surplus, which, again, I've been on the board, this is, 6th year, 7th year, we've always thrown a surplus. And it just seems that we've always thrown the surplus to the amount of what our tax increase was. And it's been historical that way. I don't think we've thrown a negative once.
Yes.
One year.
1 year.
We didn't.
So, that's the concern. I mean, we keep going out and putting $1.2 million fund balance. We're looking at 300,000 round figure tax increase. And I'm going to I'll put money on it right now. We'll throw a surplus next year. And I don't want to head that direction again.
I understand where you're all coming from, but you keep we're throwing surpluses. That's also on our part of doing what you told us to do by freezing the budget. So we're trying
We understand that.
I don't think we're taking anything away from the administration for doing your job. I mean, you've done what we've asked you to do, which is to put in austerity measures, which are working. I think the issue that I have is that when I first got on the board, there was a $1 mil tax increase, and we threw a surplus of $682,000. And then in the following year, there's a 1.4 mil increase, and we threw another surplus. And in the following year, we didn't have a tax increase, and that's when we actually spent down some of the surplus money. But for the last 2 years, last year we committed to spend $766,000 out of our surplus, and take Plan Con J money aside, we still threw a surplus. We didn't spend down $766. We actually threw a positive cash flow of a couple, like $30,000 or $40,000. And then this year we're projected to spend $640, and I'm tracking where our fund balance is now. I'm getting the feeling that we're going to be coming in having not spent that $640. That's just my opinion. So
don't get me wrong when I'm saying I don't think things are as bad as they were last year. I go out in the industry. I'm in steel mills. I'm in automobile mills, and they're moving. I mean, they're hiring people. They're starting to work. We're coming out of it. And what I don't want to do is use the fact that we're coming out of it, or the fact that it's not as dire as it was before, to make a decision that is wrong. So that's I just want to make sure that it's all on the table. I mean, we keep saying things are dire or things are great. We're coming out of it. I mean, there's light at the end of the tunnel, and we've got to head in that direction. But I think what we need to do is look at things and be fiscal. Look at things properly. As you said, we keep throwing a surplus. We ask the administration to tighten their belts, and they do a great job of it, because that's probably one of the reasons we throw as much of a surplus as we do. But let's use past history as an example, and if we were to go the other way, we still got the fund balance to fall back on.
Just if I can
I'm sorry. Can you also remember this coming up budget we're voting on? We took $800,000 out of the fund. We're not going to get that. That's a one-time hit.
Yep.
So
That's what
if you don't do some kind of tax increase and offset with fund balance, and I'm willing to use some of the fund balance, you got to remember that's a 1 year reduce of our debt service.
I hear you what you're saying, but we said that last year.
Well,
and we're tracking to not have to spend that. We said it the year before, and we didn't spend it. So I hear the argument. I'm having a hard time buying into it going forward. And at least the way I look at it is you can always next year raise taxes more than what we're discussing. You can always spend more fund balance. You can't take a tax increase away. Once it's in place, and that's it.
Unless 1776 does it.
Well, that's not. I don't think that's grounded in reality at this point. So we've been talking about tax reform for decades now, and it hasn't happened yet. So when it happens, then we can talk about it at that point in time. That's just where I'm coming from. I mean, I'd be interested to hear what some of the other board members have to think.
What have you, Mr. Sheen, what have you heard from the state? I've heard that they're looking at possibly redoing the budget, putting more money back in. They are looking to review the budget, and I was going to bring it up, but I'll bring it up now instead of in this section. They are looking to review the budget. They're putting $50 million or so back into the budget. They're throwing away
They're unbundling. They're unbundling.
Before it was, here's your money. They're going back
to the old
way we're doing it.
Formula-based.
As far as being hit with transportation, if we have extra transportation needs or costs, as it stands right now, we may potentially be able to file and get that money. So if that gets passed, again, the governor still has to sign it. Okay, but it seems like it has more support. It's got more support. Support now. Looks like it's more than we had. I was in and out of the PCN meeting today, and 1776 has got legs now. Now, if we did because the House can still slow things down. It can still slow something. But it looks like this has got more legs than any other process has ever had. So, but it looks like we're going to get. They're going to have $50 million more to spend. Because I would certainly favor hold the line on taxes, and anything else we get from the state go back to replenish that fund. That's just my opinion.
I personally don't want to raise taxes. We have monies that we can use to offset that. I think taxpayers have done enough.
Yeah, I'm going to comment on that too. I think the tax hike will hurt families and seniors. After speaking with hundreds of district residents, it's clear that property taxes are their number one concern, and I cannot support a tax hike in this difficult economy. I'm deeply saddened on that.
Scott, you have any thoughts?
Well, like I said, I think there's funds out there that I'm hoping in a way that's going to come forward, and if we can apply it to offset this $300,000, I'd be more willing to see a hold on the increase in tax to zero.
Understand this is just a process vote right now.
Correct.
Okay.
Like everything.
Mr. McLaughlin, do you have any thoughts?
When I look at the general fund balance over the last few years, it certainly is an indicator that we would not need the tax increase to support our spending for this particular budget. So I'm kind of thinking right now that we should be able to do it without the tax increase.
Now, the question I have, if this gets voted down tonight, this depends on what happens. Because this is a process. We're in a process now where we need to vote something to be apparently posted or whatever you want by a certain date so that we can move forward with the next part of that process, which is vote for the budget at the end of our last meeting in June, correct?
Right. You have to vote for a proposed final budget at least 30 days in advance of your adoption of the final budget. So if you don't vote for a proposed final budget tonight, you're going to have another meeting shortly so that you can adopt a final budget prior to the end of June.
Would that be a simple matter of amending what we have here, where you would just strike with a 0.3168 millage increase? I mean, you're essentially just passing the budget, and you're going to use the fund balance to fill the difference.
Well, as long as the proposed final budget is balanced, you have to have it. It has to be balanced one way or the other. So if you're deleting the tax increase, then you have to show revenues coming from somewhere else to make up that and it would be fund balance. So I mean, you could adopt a proposed final budget without any tax increase and showing an additional 300 and some.
So then, what would our final number be taken out of fund balance?
1.5.
About 1.5, 158, 39-ish.
Again,
one more. I'm sorry. I think it's going to be harder to put it. If you vote 0 tonight and the state doesn't help, and the fund balance doesn't come in, it's going to be harder to put it back in a month from now.
And I just wanted to clarify that whatever you pass tonight is subject to change prior to final adoption.
That's why I said I would leave it the way it is tonight. That's my personal opinion.
I mean, I would like to see it amended. I'm sorry. I mean, my personal opinion is we amend it now. When we use the fund balance, and since there seems to be some sort of consensus that no one here, we think we can do it with fund balance going forward. We're looking at a $4 million fund balance. I mean, that's one of the highest fund balances I've seen in 5 years since I've been here. It's probably one of the highest we've ever had.
Then why not just let it the way it is tonight and give her a chance to figure it in a month to give us better numbers?
I think it sends a clear message to the taxpayers that we're making our best efforts to support a no tax increase.
What if she ends up throwing $500,000 loss?
With what throws a $500,000 loss?
What if at the end of the year she realizes that we're going to have to use the $500,000 of balance this year?
We've already projected we're going to spend $640,000 in fund balance for this year.
Say it's another $500,000.
Well, then we still come ahead $140,000.
And you have to raise taxes.
I don't think so.
So what's the protocol, Andrew? Do we need a motion to amend it and then...
No, we're still in discussion.
Well, I mean, yeah, there would be a motion to amend, and then those who have already first and seconded the motion would have to agree to amend the original motion. Otherwise,
or you vote on the motion.
Or we vote on the motion and you vote yes or no on the motion, then somebody can...
You would vote on the motion to amend in that instance.
Right.
Well, I'm going to make a motion to amend the previous motion with the 0 millage tax increase.
I'm not going to agree to that yet because I'm not done with the conversation.
Okay.
Again, I'm for making sure everybody's entering this with their eyes wide open, okay? As I said last week, we take salary increases of $2 million. We take $1.5 million now, $800,000. Run those numbers. Remember, that's all going to be what we get hit with next year. I mean, I'm for the amendment. I want everybody not to say, well, we didn't know this, okay? Because we've had that happen in the past. $2 million. Run the numbers yourself. We're looking at about $4.5 million now, if the numbers are right. But we start in the hole next year. Okay? Now you can make the motion.
Okay, I move the previous motion with the alteration of the 0 millage tax increase.
Motion to amend prior motion to indicate a 0% tax increase and a corresponding increase in use of fund balance.
So moved.
I second.
There's a motion and first and second on the motion to amend.
That was the first and second on the motion.
And that would be Mr. Wolf and Mr. Shaheen. You can agree. Well, actually, you know what? The friendly amendment. You can accept a friendly amendment if both of you do that. If not,
it has to be voted on, right?
I accept the friendly. I'll accept it.
Okay.
I'm going to ask the administration to still sharpen their pencils. Go back and look, please.
Okay, so we have an amended motion on the floor to pass the 12-13 proposed final budget of $50,864,268 with a 0% tax increase, with the balance to be funded from the general fund balance. Any further discussion by board members? Okay, seeing none.
Just to clarify, Andrew, that if we do over the next 30 days or by the time it has to be official at the end of June, we have the right to revisit and adjust as necessary. Is that correct?
That's absolutely correct. I mean, our experience has been up until the last minute last year, we were still changing the budget.
I would like to have a workshop sometime.
I think we do need to have a workshop to go over some of the stuff. I think you guys also mentioned you were having a meet and discuss. Weren't you guys going to? Yeah. So there's certain things that are still unknown.
Last year, we came down to the wire and we just weren't that comfortable when we came back. So I think we need to do that again.
So maybe at the end of this meeting, we'll schedule another workshop for, in about a week or two to have another discussion about these numbers. Any other comments from board members? Okay, seeing none, can we get a roll call vote, please?
Mrs. Hamill?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mr. McCullen? No. Mr. McLaughlin?
Yes.
Mr. Potts?
Yes.
Mr. Shaheen?
Yes.
Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
And Mr. Basil?
Yes. Okay, moving on, let's see, we're going to go back up to 8A. It's recommended the Board of Directors approve the minutes for April 16th.
Motion for 8A through C.
A through C. Do I have a second? Mr. Kurtz with a second. Any comment from board members? Okay, seeing none, can we get a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mr. McCullen, yes. Mr. McLaughlin?
Yes.
Mr. Potts?
Yes.
Mr. Shaheen?
Yes.
Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
Mrs. Hamill?
Yes.
And Mr. Basil?
Yes. Okay, moving on, presentations by board members. Any correspondence, Mr. McCullough?
I have none.
BCIU, Mr. Kurtz?
Yes, at the last meeting, it was on May 17th, and the board approved the request for permission to solicit bids for the purchase of 2 mid-sized sedans for the Drive for Education program. We acknowledge we received bids and awarded contracts through the Berks County Schools Joint Purchasing, and we awarded those that we received bids for custodial supplies, cafeteria supplies, electric ballast, electric lamps, classroom and office supplies, and medical and nursing supplies. Various board members who were recently appointed to the board by their own member districts were formally elected by the Berks County School Directors, and I have the names, so I'm not going to read them all, but I was appointed to a 2-year term ending June 30th, 2014. That was by the BCIU. They do, I think, and technically, legally, all the school directors in the county are able to vote on the BCIU board members, and that was what that was at the Convention of School Directors, and that's what they do. They elect all the BCIU board representatives, and we approve minutes. We acknowledge the receipt of an audit, and then we approve changes to policies. We authorized agreements with child care providers and licensed child care centers to provide subsidized child care services. We received a grant from the Children's Health Insurance Program, and we ratified an agreement with Hess Energy for electricity at a rate of 6.9 cents per kilowatt hour, effective for 2 years, beginning January 1st, 2013. And finally, we authorized a 3-year agreement with Aladdin Food Management Services for Aladdin Food Management Services to provide food services and food products for the BCIU cafeteria and BCIU programs. That will cut down on costs at the BCIU. Any questions, feel free to contact me. I believe the news link was forwarded to all of you by Mrs. Barr earlier today.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Kurtz. Mr. Wolf, do you have anything to report from BCTC?
Yes, I have 2 items. The first item was the proposed transfer of entity plan as proposed by BCTC was not accepted by the teachers union on 2 counts. The first one was that, as I explained before, there was 9 districts that remained in the math program. There were 7 teachers in the pool. Originally how it was drafted was that the school with the highest percentage of enrolled students would receive the teacher with the most tenure, and they would negotiate as far as how to fit in with their salary and staff. That was altered. A proposal came back from the teachers union that the most senior teacher could negotiate with any of the 9 districts that remained in the pool. So if the teacher was from Boyertown, they lived there, they didn't have to necessarily get sent to Toppahawken, they could negotiate with Boyertown since Boyertown's in the transfer of entity plan. That was accepted. The second one was the teachers union felt that the pool of districts should not be limited to the 9 that remain when the transfer of entity plan goes into place, that it should be all 16, since that was all 16 at one time had enrolled in the math program at the time of its inception. That was not agreed to by BCTC, and the solicitor felt that since the transfer of entity plan does not exist until the 4th of June, it would not obligate those districts that had left the math program before then. Now the catch is their union felt that very strongly about their plan, and they plan to litigate any school district of the 16 that planned on hiring a math teacher outside the pool.
What was their reasoning for trying to include all 16 school districts as opposed to the 9?
They felt that it was the 16 districts that had formed, that had all had participation in the math program at some time over the years, even though they had, been removing themselves over the course of the years. Mr. Stott, the solicitor, disagreed with that. He, since the transfer of entity plan starts at June 4th, only the schools that were part of that program at the time of the transfer of entity would be subject to that. And he said basically that's going to be up to each individual school district solicitor to render opinion on that case. So he had some personal comments about it, but he didn't feel that it was something they would be necessarily successful with.
Okay.
The second item was involved in negotiation with the Act 93 personnel at BCTC also. We had a committee meeting for the Meet and Discuss following the joint operating committee meeting last month. We sat down and had some discussions, some negotiations. They came back with a proposal that we feel is acceptable, but it'll be voted upon on our next meeting, which will be held this Wednesday at the East Campus at 7 o'clock.
Thank you.
That concludes my report.
Hey, any other questions for Mr. Wolf by board members? Okay. Student government report.
Hello everyone, my name is Lauren Denberger, and I am the Senior President of Dana River Student Government. I'm here tonight to discuss with you all the events and progress of this 2011-2012 school year. Fortunately, there are many positive events that took place this school year. This will be good for you guys. At the last school board meeting I attended, which was in January, I was able to discuss with you all the achievements so far during this year, and we're proud to say that the rest of the school was equally successful. Our student government has been able to finalize its plan for its huge improvements next year. We're lucky we're going to get more volunteers by having homeroom representatives, I think, from each homeroom, which will make it bigger and last a lot more. So, and we also put on a successful musical, which you saw a couple of the students here tonight be recognized where participated in it, and we lasted through another prom. And, yeah. And like every year before prom, we put on an emotional mock crash, and this is where our seniors, we have a half day for prom, and they come out and we have a crash, and there's students, and it gets a lot of people. They have people like die, and they have the coroner come. So it's an attempt to us to reach out to the upperclassmen and help them make the right decisions on prom night. It was a bigger deal, and we proud to say we do it every year, and it was very successful, and there were no death penalties, so thank God it worked. But as you all know, we did have a setback since last time attended. Unfortunately, our school had to deal with unfortunate prejudice issues that were arising at our school. There seemed to be thoughts that few of our students were in danger, so the school took the necessary steps to ensure safety to our students. Unfortunately, in what seemed a day, the school changed a lot, with extensive searches being held and a cutback on what seemed like freedom. We couldn't sign on as much. Bathrooms were cut back, all necessary but hard for students. But I'm here today happy to say that they're finally returning back to normal. The school was able to figure out the most efficient ways for searches to be performed, and they cut back the time much shorter. Like the searches in the morning are down to like 5 minutes. It's not bad at all, so they got it down packed. And we are now painting a mural in the cafeteria. And this will be filled with many strong quotes about bullying, trying to pull our school together after the event, make everyone better. And it was nice, they reached out and they gave out a sheet to every homeroom, so every student received a sheet. And they were able, if they had any ideas, to write it down and hand it back in. So it really is every student in the school participating in this, trying to get us all together. So, and like I said, we we started asking around student government because we knew we were coming here. Last time it was all good, and we wanted to see if maybe kids had issues because I'm standing here trying to represent them. And the only one that they really had was bathrooms, which I don't know, us and the bathrooms. We were very upset because they cut it back to 2 bathrooms in the school, besides like the gym bathrooms, like if you're in a gym. And that got kids really upset. But we talked to Mr. McNamara, and they're trying to work on opening them up so kids don't have to stress about the bathrooms because it's so stressful. So that was really the only problem. That everyone's so happy with the way it was hard at first, but everything got progressively better, and we feel safer. I remember the first weeks, people were nervous, and everyone's really getting back to normal. So really, I have a positive report again for you guys. So thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Denberger, may I ask you a quick question?
You
I don't want to put you on the spot, but I was wondering, a lot of districts have a member of the student government sit as an advisory role for the school board at meetings, so that they can chime in for discussion or they could give the opinion of the student body if asked. Does the student government have a position on that?
We would definitely do that, especially because next year we're really trying to, I won't be there, but Mr. Bailey and everyone else is really trying to push, make it bigger, like to make it more of a prominent club in our school. And we would love, we are a community group of students. You guys will regret saying that, but we would love to be helping you guys.
Thank you very much. I just want to know your opinion on that. Thank you.
I have a question. The demonstration that was held at the high school, the crash, before prom, obviously, set arrest. How was that received by the student population? Did they feel it was powerful, effective?
Oh, yeah, it really, because kids don't understand. I'm kids, but you don't understand how dangerous it is. And, honestly, all the girls, of course, were crying. And it's like, we had a student who lost his brother, not at prom from a drunk driver, so he also spoke. So it really hit a lot of people. We had another girl, Rita, who's in our student government, and her dad was actually an alcoholic, and she also spoke. So it's really good because it hits home because you don't think about it until it's actually, it did a great job. And I know, not to get it, but people who realized it and actually cut back on what they were going to do that next prom.
Any other board members have questions? Okay, thank you. I would like to say I think you guys conducted yourselves very well this year, particularly with the issues that we had at the high school, and you're really to be commended.
Oh, thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Sheehan, legislative report.
I already gave that.
Okay. I wasn't sure if you had anything else you wanted to add to it. Okay. Any other reports from other committees or anything?
Oh, we have to report out from our conference that we attended for new school directors. The folks of us who attended throughout one of our policies, I believe. And we learned a lot. We attended a conference with PASBA for newly elected or newly appointed board members. It was very informative. We attended 2 days. We came back between sessions, and a lot to learn. It was a long day, but it was very informative. I don't know if anybody else would like to comment.
Very eye-opening, and it's amazing that we share so many of the same issues and concerns as so many other districts.
I thought it was interesting. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Go ahead.
If looking at different parts of the state, and there were different members of boards from different districts all around the state, and just looking at the different issues they faced in like the Philadelphia area compared to the issues we faced compared to issues districts faced in the other part of the state. I thought that was really interesting, and just the different mindsets of people from different areas of the state.
I did want to thank Dr. Otto for accompanying us. I thought, unfortunately for him, he wound up commenting on being put on the spot for many a comment.
That's what happens when you show up with a group of board members and you're the only superintendent there.
I thought that was helpful too, that Dr. Otto went along
to
help to provide insight that may not have been available otherwise. So I'd like to thank you.
I'll send PSBA my bill. We'll put it into our fund balance.
All right, great. Any other comments or questions from board members? All right, moving on to buildings and grounds. Do I have a motion for
10A through E?
10A through E.
Second.
Okay. Any comments, discussion? Okay, seeing none. One clarification, 10E we're taking it from the capital reserve, the construction funds first, right? And then the balance are coming. Right. Okay, that's what I thought. All right.
Doing it this way before you vote just allows us to reduce our total costs for the three.
Sure. Can I get a roll call vote, please?
Mr. McCullough, yes. Mr. McLaughlin?
Yes.
Mr. Potts?
Yes.
Mr. Shaheen?
Yes.
Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
Mrs. Hamill?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
And Mr. Basil?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Okay. Moving on to financial approvals. Do I have a motion for B?
11, B through L.
B through L. Have a second?
Second.
Ms. Hamill with a second. Any commentary from board members?
Mr. Stewart, I have to ask a question on G for the food services. The state demands that we bid contracts with multi-year contract with options, and then they go and decide to change the requirements and then force us to go ahead and say, hey, sorry, I know you gave us your best number, you won the bid, but we're going to change the basis of the bid, you got to go rebid it all over again, and you may not get the business.
If there's any change in the basic service provided,
Material.
yeah, material change in the scope of services or scope of work, you're required to rebid. And because of these the nutrition requirements, there's going to be a material change in the scope of the service provided. It deals with the federal government. This is a federally funded program in part, and this is a federal requirement that even if anytime there's a material change in the service, they want you to rebid. In part, that's to prevent favoritism to the current vendor, because they don't want you to go out on a bid and then mid-term change the scope of services without having other vendors participate.
I mean, these guys go out and they sharpen their pencil, they give us the best bid, get the business, and then 2 years into a contract, which may or may not have an effect on why they bid what they did, we yank the rug out from under and say, guess what, you got to start all over again.
Well,
it's not us, though.
I know it is.
And Sodexo's a big outfit. They do a lot of this. This is their bread and butter. They'll be prepared for this.
I just had a quick question on H. Did we go out and talk to our insurance provider or broker about different...
I did. Unfortunately, since the turnaround time, he hasn't been able to get back to me. He did say, as I sent you all an email, I did check, PSBA does not write the insurance, but they do endorse a company. He did say that company is not quite as good as the company that is on here being recommended. There are some slight differences in policies. But really, that company that PSBA endorses along with this company are really the two big players in the market.
Any other board questions? Okay. Mr. McCullough, roll call vote, please.
Mr. McLaughlin?
Yes.
Mr. Potts?
Yes.
Mr. Shaheen?
Yes.
Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
Mrs. Hamill?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mr. McCullough, yes. And Mr. Basil?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Moving on to 12 personnel approvals.
Penalty, right? So A through G, with the exceptions of C1, E6, E and F.
C1, E6, E, and F.
Right.
C1, E.
There's no F.
Yeah.
Wait, there is an F.
Then there's letter E, capital letter F.
Right.
E6.
Page 6.
And then...
C1, E6, capital letter E, capital
and then
letter F.
E and F.
Which we have to put names in.
Oh, gotcha. At the end, Mr. Wolf.
Page 6.
Page 6 at the top, we have to put names in there before we can vote those.
Okay, so you're skipping those two. And what's the other one?
C1E6.
Gotcha. Little E.
Little E.
Okay.
Yeah, little E6. Okay.
I need a second.
Second.
Mr. Potts with a second. Okay. Any
Just
comment?
say again out loud what we're voting on, because I think I heard CE6 being removed. Is that right?
Yeah, so we're voting on all of 12 with the exception of C-1E6, which is Department Chair Music, Justin McAdams, at 1572. And then if you scroll down to page 6, whatever it's, items E and F, right before you get to the next agenda item 13, you'll see that we're also excluding the Board of Directors vote for a school treasurer and the BCIU representative, because we have to actually put people's names in those two items.
Okay, I'm ready. Thank you.
Okay.
I have a question. I'm sorry.
Discussion.
Yeah, I think we have discussion.
Yeah.
I have a question. On C3, G and J, can someone please explain to me how we're going to share that position?
I'm sorry, say it again.
C.
Extracurricular.
3, yeah.
Extracurricular, number 3, letters small g and small j. How are we going to share that position?
Which is the instrumental director?
Correct. How did they come up with that and determine, first of all, the stipend, and 2 is, how's that going to be a shared position?
Anne Marie can.
I'm just asking the question.
The total is worth 28 units.
Mm-hmm.
And it was determined by Mr. McElroy and the high school music department that 20 units would go to the marching band instructor, it would be divided into 2 separate groups. One would be the marching band and the other would be the jazz band. 20 units would go to marching band and 8 would go to jazz band, and then it's calculated
based on that.
Based on seniority. Okay.
So which is which?
Marching band is the 20 units.
Yeah, on here.
G.
G is marching?
G is our new marching band director.
Okay.
J, the reason why the stipend seemed close, years of experience.
Yes.
So the person we're naming for G, Mr. Kuhn, he has total jurisdiction over
Correct.
the marching band program.
That is correct.
Okay.
The extracurricular portion.
All right.
Did you get that, Mr. McLaughlin?
Yes, I did. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Okay. Seeing none, can we get a roll call vote?
Mr. Potts?
Yes.
Mr. Shaheen?
Yes.
Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
Mrs. Hamill?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mr. McCullough, yes. Mr. McLaughlin?
Yes.
And Mr. Basil?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Okay, moving on to C1E6, which is 2012-13 Department Chairs, Music, Justin McAdams at 1572.
So moved.
You have a second?
Second.
Okay, discussion? Mr. Sheehan?
What is the, Mrs. Trainer, what is the what's the responsibilities of this position? Besides the obvious of coordinating, but what specifically does that position entail?
It is the liaison between the building principal and members of the department, and they work with Bill for budget, for course recommendations, they spearhead the course descriptions each year for him. I will turn over to Bill for any other things that he has department chairs do.
That pretty much covers it.
So when it comes to scheduling of the Jazz Fest, organizing that, or the indoor percussion show, that's a director.
That would be the instrumental director's responsibility,
Not the music director.
which we talked about a little bit earlier. And
The
then
department head, if I can just chime in, is strictly related to curriculum, nothing extracurricular.
Yes, I just wanted to get it out there and revisit explain it to me.
You have any comments? No? And for the benefit of the public, are these self-selected, or are they selected by the administration, or is it a combination of administrative input as well as
Administrative selection.
administrative selection? Okay. Any other comments? Okay, could we get a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Shaheen?
No.
Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
Mrs. Hamill?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
No.
Mr. McCullough? No. Mr. McLaughlin?
No.
Mr. Potts?
No.
Mr. Basil?
No.
Motion denied.
Okay. So we need to appoint a new music department head there. Okay. Moving on to 3G, right?
No, capital E.
You got to put your
Capital-
treasurer in and.
Make a motion for Mr. Seminaro.
Yes, you can second.
Just to see if he's here.
No, Mr. Sermonaro, are you still on?
I hope he's not.
Yeah, he's not on.
I haven't been tallying him in the last. If he is, he hasn't voted.
Just didn't want him to be not represented by
Once
himself.
again, you're not here.
Is this where we make a motion for Mr. Seminaro to be the board of treasurer?
Yes.
Already was done. He wasn't here, so he got
He's
nominated.
already on.
Isn't that kind of
Okay, thank you.
No, he said he'd take.
That's what Mr. Shaheen put on, Mr. McLaughlin.
Actually, that happened to me one year. I wasn't here, and
He got everything.
He had me hooked when he mentioned that he made a special program.
Right, he tried to sell himself out of the job, but
yeah. Okay. So, any other comment from the board members? Okay. Can we get a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Wolf.
Yes.
Mrs. Hamill.
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz. Yes. Mr. McCullough. Yes. Mr. McLaughlin.
Yes.
Mr. Potts.
Yes.
Mr. Shaheen.
Yes.
And Mr. Basil.
Yes.
Congratulations, Mr. Seminary.
Okay. Moving on to F. It's recommended the board of directors elect.
Nominate Mr. Kurtz.
I second. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Mr. Kurtz is a BCIU representative from July 1st, 2012 to June 30th, 2014. Okay. Any discussion? Okay. Seeing none, can we get a roll call vote?
Mrs. Hamill.
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz. Yes. Mr. McCullough. Yes. Mr. McLaughlin.
Yes.
Mr. Potts.
Yes.
Mr. Shaheen.
Yes.
Mr. Wolf.
Yes.
And Mr. Basil.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Okay. Moving on to 13 programs. Do I have?
Motion for 13A.
Do I have a second? Great. Mr. Potts. Any discussion? Okay. Seeing none, can we get a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Kurtz.
Yes.
Mr. McCullough. Yes. Mr. McLaughlin.
Yes.
Mr. Potts.
Yes.
Mr. Shaheen.
Yes.
Mr. Wolf.
Yes.
Mrs. Hamill.
Yes.
And Mr. Basil.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Okay. Moving on to policies.
A through G.
There's a motion for A through G. We have a second by Mr. Kurtz. Any discussion? Okay, seeing none, can we get a roll call vote?
Mr. McCullough, yes. Mr. McLaughlin.
Yes.
Mr. Potts.
Yes.
Mr. Shaheen.
Yes.
Mr. Wolf.
Yes.
Mrs. Hamill.
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz.
Yes.
And Mr. Basil.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Okay, moving on through 15 and 16.
No, I'm sorry. 14, you have to.
Oh, I'm sorry.
D, H, and I.
just acknowledge.
It's just, okay, well, it's a first reading of revised policy 111, 914, and 113. Okay. Having said that, under old business, we have a follow-up for new election regions. Mr. Subers, do you have anything to add to what next steps are?
I do. At the last meeting, you indicated your preferred plan for the actual makeup of the various regions. And I just wanted to confirm that the 4 board members who would be up for re-election in 2013, the implementation plan would be that those members would be eligible for re-election in the new region in which they reside, based on the precincts as defined. There's no advertisement requirements that for the petition. We do need to file a petition for approval with the Court of Common Pleas. There's one issue that I still need to resolve, and that deals with the impact of the state reapportionment plan for senatorial and congressional districts. There was an act passed separate from the school code as part of the election code in 2009, which indicated that no local election district boundaries could be changed prior to November 30, 2012. If you look on the Berks Election Services website, they say that applies to the redefining of election precincts. So they won't be finalized by the county until November 30, 2012. What I'd like to do is explore that further. And PSBA, Pennsylvania School Boards Association, issued a publication, their monthly publication at the end of March, and I didn't pick up on this prior to our last meeting, raising this as an issue and suggesting that school boards who are in potential need of redistricting, which we know we are, move forward with the development of their plans, but that those plans may not possibly be finalized until November 30, 2012. We're questioning that opinion from PSBA because if you look at it gets a little bit complicated, but the definition of a local election district in the election code it says that it's any district that's formed under that election code. Our districts are formed under the school code. So our reading of that is that doesn't prohibit us, that we're not covered by this prohibition against changing districts until November 30, 2012. We have a call in to PSBA solicitor to discuss that with them. What I would propose is preparing the draft resolution for presentation at next month's meeting, and in the meantime working that issue out with PSBA and the county election services.
How long does it take from the time you submit to the judge that they sign?
I would say 30 days.
Because the primary that would be held then in
would be next.
I mean, there's more than enough time.
Well, yeah. Well, the point of this article, from PSBA, was that if you have to wait till November 30th, it gets a little tight. Right. But there still would be enough time, as long as we have everything lined up, which you do.
You can't get your petitions till after the first year sometime anyway. So.
And you've done the necessary work to figure out what your plan is. So we have it. Even if we had to wait till November 30th. It's all ready. It will be all ready. So we would proceed immediately after that, and you would have your approval well in advance of when you needed it.
Okay. So essentially, anybody have any objections to what Mr. Subers is suggesting in terms of steps moving forward? Okay, seeing none, then that's the way we'll go. Okay, under new business, any new business, board members? All right, seeing none. Moving on to 18, public has the floor. If you have any comments, please approach your mic and follow the rules for public participation.
Tom Schatz, 720 92nd Street, retired educator. Really enjoyed that first portion. Friends, students, Mr. Basil, 0.3168 millage increase that was printed here. But that's not what you're doing.
Can we have him speak up, please?
Sorry, Mr. Schott, could you speak up?
Sure.
Thank you.
The 0.3168 millage increase, which is in writing here, but you voted not to do that tonight. What would that come out to per household?
Per 100,000.
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that off the top of my head.
Less than 90 per 100,000.
Thank you. And, the projection, according to what you said, is you might be starting next year in a $4.5 million hole. Did I hear that correctly?
Yes, that's what Mr. Sheehan had said.
If you would have not voted tonight the way you did on the 7-1, it would have gone the other way, then that would have been the $300,000 you would have, correct?
Yes, there would be $300,000 there.
$300,000. The next question is, 2 years ago, I believe the superintendent voluntarily agreed to a pay freeze, and last year, the salary was frozen. This budget proposed budget that you voted on tonight, does that have an increase for next year?
I believe it does have an increase in it for next year, although we have not completed our negotiations as of yet.
Okay, thank you. I guess the last thing I have to talk about is lemonade. Why would I be talking about lemonade? I don't particularly like lemonade. I like to have lemonade. And if you have strong lemonade, you have a lot of lemon in the water. Now I've seen in the last maybe 2 years or 3 years that taking away full-day kindergarten is diluting the lemonade, in my opinion. Taking classroom aides out is diluting the lemonade. I eliminating the elementary fourth grade band, it's diluting the lemonade. The activity fee, which I believe is the highest in Berks County, is that correct?
I don't know.
Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. That's diluting the lemonade. The larger elementary class sizes is diluting the lemonade. We're getting, no longer having middle school language is diluting the lemonade. Haven't you,
Mr. Schott, you're at 3, so if you could sum up.
Yep.
Thank you.
After a while, if you dilute the lemonade enough, you don't have lemonade. You just have water. And I'm not in agreement with the 7-1 vote tonight. And I know you know that, but I'm just stating. Thank you.
Appreciate your comment.
I would just like to
Could you state your name because we're recording this?
David Poole, 443 Hill Road.
Thank you.
On behalf of the taxpayers that are part of the Daniel Boone Taxpayer Association, I would like to thank the board for what we perceive to be, you're doing the right thing tonight. I would just like to say thank you. I would also like to thank board members who did respond to members who did take the time to email and express their opinions. Okay, I think it's very important that when you get correspondence from taxpayers that you respond back to them. I really appreciate that very much. I got to tell you. Only one more thing. We had mentioned, I believe at the committee of the whole, that you were going to take a look at the number of options that we currently make available to choose from, make up the electives. That's still on the table, right?
I believe that's something you guys are going to look at.
The curriculum committee in the fall.
Okay.
I mean, it's not on the table
Can't do
for
it
this
this
budget,
year.
but it will be taken up because they're already setting classes and everything else. But
Yeah.
it is being looked at.
Yeah, it would seem to me with what's facing us, and we're all aware of what's coming down the pipe, that it would be important to take a look at any place that we can compress and possibly remove some of the features that would require any more massive increases than we already are facing. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Rich Martino, 225 West Wells Drive. I also would like to thank the board for your vote tonight. It was nice to hear that the taxpayers were being considered. I think the public here needs to understand something about the budget, that probably 65% or better of the budget is the salary and benefits for the teachers. I think we really wanted to make the lemonade stronger. The teachers would have come back and worked with the school board and the district to strengthen it. Instead, they thumb their nose at us, and the average teacher will make over $85,000 a year this year. I think that's a little higher than the median income of the townships that support the school district. So it's something to be thought about. The contracts that have been signed are what's putting us in this hole, not the taxpayers. But thank you again for your vote.
Thank you for your comments.
Can we first of all,
correct that?
can we correct that last
Doesn't
statement about
make
85,000? I don't know what the number is, but I don't believe it's quite that high.
65,000.
Thank you. It's not 85, it's 65. Thank you.
Shane Cockle, 830 Guyertown Road. I'm a little confused with the tax and then the no tax. We had an argument, you guys had an argument about cutting programs, what to save, what to cut. The people who were pushing to cut music, foreign language, and other items kept saying, the argument was, you don't understand, next year we're going to be in a worse situation. We're not getting the funding that we used to. We need to start cutting programming and get rid of as much education as we can. Then, the same board members, when it comes comes to a tax increase, say, well, every year we pull surplus. We have $4 million extra in the fund. So we don't really need an increase. We can just take that funding out of it and use that. So when we go through this same process next year, I went to those board members who said, hey, we can just, instead of increasing the taxes, which I'm not for increasing taxes, I'm just confused because the same individuals who say, let's cut deep, we have to cut, are the same individuals that are saying, we have the money, let's just use the money in what we have. We have $4 million, it's the most we've ever had. So, like I said, I'm not pushing for a tax increase. I'm just stating that I'm confused that first we don't have any money, and then we have a surplus. Every year we pull a surplus, but then we don't have money. The second thing I'd like to ask is a freshman head football coach. Why do we need a freshman head football coach when we have a varsity head coach and assistant varsity coach? Now we have also a freshman head coach. I mean, does anyone know why we're paying another parent $3,000 to replace the other parent whose son just graduated $3,000 more?
I believe it's a different team. I think there's two different teams.
Don't we have like a JV team?
Yes,
varsity,
but those
there's
are
a varsity
JV head coach and
well, there's
JV
three.
assistant coach.
I
This
think
is a freshman head coach, which is not a JV. It's just another paid coach.
It's also part of the contract.
I mean, if we're looking into saving what we can save, does the board know what a freshman head coach is for sure?
I don't know what a freshman. We're at 3 minutes. I'm not sure what a freshman head coach is. When I've looked at the roster of coaches, you see a variety of different coaches for each sport. And as you've seen, as we've been here, and for other discussions, whether it's middle school softball or it's cross country or something else, the issue always comes up of one of either Title IX or the health, safety, welfare of the kids participating in the sports. And so what we've asked our administrative team to do is to review our entire sports program to make sure that we're in compliance with both of those directives. And that's a process that's in works right now. We haven't gotten the results of that yet, but that's something that we're moving towards. And we'll take those recommendations and then move forward. Either we're in compliance with these issues or we're not, and we're going to fill the holes if we have any.
Okay, I would suggest that you look into this freshman head coach and see if you can get a volunteer. You have another volunteer.
Well, before we drag this out, I mean, we can't replace coaches with volunteers because we run into a contractual issue. So you have to understand that we are constrained by our contract. So you can't just take a coach and say, well, we're not going to hire you anymore. We're going to hire somebody else. It's not going to be paid because now we have a collective bargaining issue. Okay, so there's certain constraints that we have to operate under when we're filling positions. I mean, I think that hopefully that addresses your second issue. In terms of your first issue, I'm happy to clarify my position as one of the board members who have stated that we ought to be cutting, and we ought to be cutting into our budget. And quite frankly, I look at it and I see 65% of our budget's on salaries and benefits. And had we made some of the cuts that we made last year and this year and the year prior to that, 3 or 4 years ago, and we'd done it all at once instead of in tranches, we'd be in a much better position than we are today. That's where I feel about the size and scope of our budget and of the school district. In terms of our fund balance, when I see fund balance growing from $3 million to $4 million plus, at the same time we're spending extra dollars out of our fund balance, another 1.6 for a construction project that we didn't anticipate and other things. There's an inordinate amount of money that is coming in. Every time we promise the taxpayers, well, don't worry, we're going to spend down our fund balance. If we don't, we throw a surplus. I look at that as saying the school district has an obligation to the taxpayer first to say, look, we have this extra amount of money sitting here. It's there to be spent. It's not there to just sit there forever. So we ought to be spending it in the tough times to bridge the gap until we get to the good times. Again, that's the way I look at it, just like any business would do. Okay?
Right, but I would hope.
Well, you and I, we'll take this conversation offline. I don't think we need to subject the rest of the board and the public to my budgetary, philosophy, as it were. But I'm happy to explain it to you after the meeting.
Okay. And also, I would like to quick point a law firm. I'm sure they practice law. Their budget, I'm sure, is most of their salaries. We're here for education. Teachers should be the highest part of our budget. We're not producing anything. We don't have overhead. We're educating students.
Thank you for your comments, Shane. Any other comments from the public? Motion to adjourn or motion to recess? Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. McCall, second. Adjourn.
Are you an executive?
Yes.